We've all done it. The yoga classes, the bubble bath, the journaling, the listening to affirmations. You've checked every self-care box imaginable. And yet, there is still this gnawing feeling deep inside that goes, is this all there is? What if I told you that self-care alone is not the answer? That there is something deeper, something more meaningful that can truly fill that space, that hole that you may feel in that. I'm Ansi, and for over, 3 decades or more, I've been helping women navigate midlife transitions or just life transitions through yoga, mindfulness, and personal growth practices. But here's the thing. Even as someone immersed in wellness, in the wellness space, I have felt a hole. And I have felt this emptiness too. And it wasn't until I'd explored what we're going to talk about today that I found a sense of wholeness. So let's dive in. Self-care is everywhere. It's everywhere. You can Google it. It's in the magazines, in the supermarkets when you walk past the magazine shelf. It is in the TV programs that we watch. It's on social media. It literally is everywhere. And we're told to take time, to make time for ourselves, to unwind and to recharge. And for me, as someone who suffered from burnout badly in the past, and I still have to be very careful today, it's always intriguing. I find that I'll just something catches my eye and I will click on it to find out more. Right, and I've been on numerous courses. I have bought stuff over the years and books, a ton of books that I've actually read. And now, while these practices are valuable in themselves, they often address things on just pure surface level, right? It's like treating the symptoms without understanding the root cause. For example, I'll be feeling really run down or feeling very disillusioned, and I see a post about a retreat or a workshop or a new book, and I'll book myself on, or I'll buy that book, assuming or wishing really that would solve my burnout. It would solve or fill this hole that I'm feeling in my life. But then once I've come back after being on this feeling a massive high, the next day or a week or so down the line, Monday rolls around and I still feel just as drained, and the bits of holes start to reappear, this feeling of something is missing. So self-care is not a cure-all. It is an industry these days, right? And here's some reasons why I feel it falls short. Firstly, at its core, fulfillment comes from aligning yourself with what truly matters for you. Okay, so self-care is a tool, it is not the solution. You have to figure out almost what is really important for you, and then be honest with yourself, look at that and look at your life and just say, is this lining up? Because more often than not, it doesn't. Things constantly change, so we have to stay on top of this. I might be working for a company and I could do that for many years, and it feels completely aligned and I feel completely fulfilled. And then at some point, it could be weeks down the line, it could be years down the line, and I start to think, hang on a minute, I just don't feel as fulfilled as I did before. The second thing where self-care falls short is really the importance of connection. Now, humans are wired for connection. As a massive introvert, I will find it challenging. I find group situations challenging. However, when it comes down, true connection is something I really value. And it does not have to come packaged in a group. It can come as an individual. It can come in the shape of friends and family members, or it can come in the form of something greater. We are wired. And it's taken me a long time because I would just use introversion as an excuse, but actually it's not, because deep down we are wired. I remember years ago, being in the group fitness industry, and we used to train clubs, health clubs and venues about the importance of group fitness. And we used to say that people come to a gym, to a health club, because they value connection. And it doesn't matter if you say, no, I don't like classes. What I love is working out in the gym on my own or getting on the treadmill on my own. The thing is, if you really value being alone, you wouldn't go to a venue facility. You could run on the road, you could cycle on the road, you could work out at home. So deep down, there is this desire to be amongst other people. When we are disconnected, no amount of face masks or yoga flows or working out is going to fill that gap. So connection is important. And the final thing is purpose. Purpose isn't a grand sweeping mission. It's the small things that bring joy and meaning to your life, right? And discovering this means that we have to look beyond surface level fixes. So when I reflect back, I remember a time in my life where I was doing all the right things. And honestly, trust me when I say to you, I have tried literally almost everything. Maybe not everything. Exercising, eating well, meditating, doing my yoga, getting the bath soaks and the bath salts, the candles and all of it. But on the outside, externally, and to some degree, this was perhaps what I used to portray. And this is the thing about social media, is that we tend to just see the positive sides of someone's life, right? The sides that we want people to see. That is the stuff we're willing to share on social media. So on the outside, my life looked balanced. I was doing well with my career. I was traveling the world. I was going to all sorts of wonderful places and being with amazing people. And I was doing my meditation, I was doing my yoga, I was exercising and talking about my diet and lots of other things. So it looked like a great life. It looked balanced, but really inside, aside from burnout, which is a whole different story, what I started to feel, I'm 56 at the moment of filming this, but ever since really my 40s, the last decade or so, there was an increasing gap in my life. I really started to feel a void. And if you have been following me through my writing, I've talked about being in a liminal space in the last couple of years. And it really was that. It took a lot for me to acknowledge and realize that I am in a liminal space. This place of transition, right? And because there was a void in my life, there was this gap, there was this hole. And it really wasn't until I started asking the bigger questions about what do I truly want? Who am I serving? That things really started to shift. So here are some steps that I've personally gone through that I'm going to share with you to help you go deeper, to tap into these bigger questions. So step number 1 is reflect on your values. So grab a journal and write down your top 3 values. What are the things that really matter? Push comes to shove. What is it that really matters for you? And then, are your actions aligned with your values? Are you doing a job that lines up with your values? But not just your job, the little things, the small things that you do on a day-to-day basis, do they also line up with your values? And if you're honest and you're looking at it and you're going, no, it's not, then what small changes could you make? So if family, for example, is a core value, but you're overworking, you've got a full-time job, and you've got a side hustle, and you're trying to manipulate or play with social media, or you're just on there and scrolling all the time, how can you carve out intentional time with the ones that you love, with your family? So that is the first thing. Reflect on your values and how aligned are you with your value. Step number 2, create moments of stillness. Oh, I know some of it's so challenging to find stillness, right? But just start with 5 minutes a day. Sit in silence, breathe deeply, and just listen to the silence. years ago when I was doing my yoga teacher training, and we would sit and do some breath work. And then following breath work, my teacher would always say, now just sit. He would just say that, now just sit. I would think sit in what and do what, right? Because I was like, this is decades ago. And I was thinking, my mind's overactive. It's overactive as it is. I'm thinking, sit and what? Sit, listen. Listen to the silence, right? Because in these moments of silence, that's when clarity can often emerge. If we're too busy, we just don't hear. We don't hear what the silence has to say to us. And then depending on your belief, you could say it's your intuition. Some of you will say it's your intuition, your inner whisper. It could be God, right? But if we're too busy and we fill the space with stuff, because that's the natural thing to do. Nature just doesn't like having a vacuum. It would just naturally want to fill it, right? Could you just start creating some moments of stillness for yourself to just sit and to just be? Step number 3, connect with others. Call a friend. Get your phone and just message somebody, right? Spend time with loved ones. Join the community. But you say, oh yeah, nobody thinks like I do and all that kind of stuff, then I guarantee you there's going to be a community out there that gets you. And if there isn't, create one, because true connection feeds the soul in ways that self-care rituals cannot. So what can you do to connect with others? Find a new friend, call an existing friend. The 4th and final step is to explore something bigger. For me, this has meant connecting with faith, which is something that I've been doing yoga for decades. And it is one of the key things about yoga is that it talks about connection or surrender to something bigger. It doesn't say what. So it's down to you to figure out what that is. So for me, it's taken all this time for me to actually recognize and actually surrender to that concept of surrendering to something bigger. So it meant looking at my faith. What did faith mean for me? And also my sense of purpose. So for you personally, it might look different, but just start considering what something greater means in your life. Now, I know it's time. We all seem to lack time. The thing is, there was more than enough time in the day. So it is a change in mindset. It is a change of how you look and view time. And that is something that I'll share in subsequent videos. But for now, just start small. Even 5 minutes of intentional time a day can create a ripple effect through your life. And if you really don't know where to start, just begin by asking yourself, what is one thing that I can do today to nurture my heart and to nurture my soul? Self-care is a beautiful starting point, but it's not the end of the journey. True fulfillment comes from going deeper, connecting with your values, your purpose, and your heart. I hope today's video has given you some ideas to explore, and if it resonates with you, please do comment below. Till next time, keep creating ripples of joy and purpose.